Typical.
It's like
Sorry, it's all right. It started, by the way, it's live, so don't say anything you don't want to say on live. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's quickly do this intro. This is a weekly show. Sorry, my voice is going already. Um, do check out bigquestionsanswered.com over there in the little graphic there for previous shows, future shows. This is a weekly happiness class where it's a dialogue between me and you. Please do join the live chat. This week, the first half is going to be talking about direction in life. We're in the beginning of the course again, gone around the whole course, chapter 1 again, direction. How do we know which direction to take in life to find happiness? Second half is about any questions you have about life. I've got my old mate Wahid down there. He's going to talk to me, debate with me, who knows, all the happiness truths I talk about from ancient religion, science, and logic. So you don't have to believe me. Hopefully, it will make sense. And please do press the like button if you think this show is of use to you. Anyway, so let's grab the first thing, uh, um, which is nature. Okay, so I like to split things up into three parts. And so, nope, that is not the first thing. That is the last thing. Here we go. Let me fix it. There we go. Copy and paste. There we go. All right. Uh, so the first thing is, why should you follow any particular path? You should follow a path that to happiness that works, is being proven to work. It shouldn't be like dependent on somebody's say so or whatever, right? And so that's the question. What is a tried and tested path to happiness? And a short answer would be Islam. I would recommend all sorts of religions. They have got all lots of good things about them, but you'll see that Islam is the most detailed and most in line with science, right? So no contradictions compared to science. So anyway, here's a quick example of that. It's not just an empty claim about um, it being a proven thing. So an example with Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who's the person who started Islam, you can say, says, make it a habit to shake hands. It will remove bad feelings between you. Okay, so I'm not going to read all that stuff, right? I'm going to say it. I'm talking to Wahid, okay, and I'm going to kind of ignore this stuff because people can get really confused when they look all that. I tried to reduce the writing, but it's still confusing. So he don't even try to read it. I'm going to tell you it, right? It's like this. So Prophet Muhammad, this is an example of something that is scientifically true. Tell me if it makes sense, right? He said, if you shake hands, it will reduce bad feelings between you. Now, it sounds like a nice, easy, maybe obvious thing to say, but science says that when two people shake hands, some chemical goes off in your brain called oxytocin. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Have you ever heard of that crazy thing? Yeah, it's not drugs. It's actually man-made drugs in your brain.
Is it
Okay.
Botamon?
Say that one.
Opposite to Botamon, Botamine, whatever they call
Ooh, I don't even know what that is. I think you've
it.
got too many doctors in your family. You're saying some doctor stuff to me or something.
Botamon is something like when you're addicted to something, but like something goes on.
Dopamine, maybe?
Dopamine, that's the word.
Oh my God, I thought you were prescribing me some medicine, mate, or something. I thought your uncle, like Shabir or something, was like he's written a prescription or something. All right, okay. So yeah, dopamine is another one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if you get dopamine from that, but your body rewards you with good feelings when you do the right thing. So you don't even have to necessarily believe in Islam. Like you can try these things out and your body will be like, yeah, I'm happy now, right? Or happier than before. So shaking hands makes you have a special thing called oxytocin. And that's a special thing that makes people feel close together. So this saying, remove the bad feelings when you shake hands, actually happens. Like, it's weird. It's chemical stuff. Oh, there's something about dopamine. Let me see. Dopamine and serotonin. Oh, I even forgot my own notes because I wrote them a long time ago. Okay, so it sets the whole lot off,
Yeah.
right? Okay, but don't serotonin. I think serotonin is especially for feeling closer together, and there's other ones, right? Um, blah blah blah. Anyway, so that's just that. What's my question for you? I mean, how do you like? How do you feel when you feel like close to other people? Like, I think some people don't value it so much. Like, there's okay. How do you compare meeting me in person? This is going to be a hard question. All right, for you, having coffee ice cream versus meeting me in person, which one would you pick? Now, I know, by the way, that he'd really like coffee ice cream, so it's a really hard choice. Which, how would you choose?
How would I choose? Well, if I had a choice, I would like to choose both if I could. But
All right. Yeah, we could have coffee ice cream together, right?
yes, I mean, if
Okay.
possibility, if that was put out on the map on the table, that would be the sparkling. That would be the icing on that wonderful cake.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason why I asked that weird question is that we often try to find happiness just through things, but we don't realize it's better if we do it with people. So yeah, you can have coffee ice cream, but eventually you will find that you're not getting happy enough, and then you need more coffee ice cream because you're feeling sad because you're alone, for example, right?
Yeah,
But you need less coffee ice cream and then less health problems by not having too much ice cream, right? Okay, we both know what we're talking about. I don't want to talk about Wahid's health problems on the show, right? Okay, but you know what I'm talking about, right? All
yeah,
right. But if we had more people, it's more surrounded by people, and this is a massive problem in the West. Okay, so people have more and more ice cream, more and more cigarettes, more and more drugs, and the reason why they go from ice cream to cigarettes to drugs to higher and higher thing because it never makes you happy. So they just need to keep upping the the drugs. If it's sugar is basically a drug, right?
absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about that? You got any opinions? Save me talking for too much.
I think you can enjoy these things if it is done in moderation and if you've got self control. Now, this is another interesting word: is self control. If you got self control, you can
Yeah.
enjoy these things a little bit more.
See, everybody thinks they've got self-control, but okay,
But if you,
if you don't have a good environment around you,
hmm,
then you get drawn towards bad things that are bad for you because you're missing something in your life. So if you're not connected with lots of people who really care about you, have a good relationship with people who care about you, or you just have nasty people, which is what we're going to talk about, right? For
absolutely,
example, right?
hmm,
Then you kind of, however much ice cream you have, it will never do the job,
hmm,
right? So it's not really about self control. It's about putting the stuff around you so that you don't feel that hole or emptiness, and then you try to fill that emptiness. Because everybody in the world can say, how do people come uh, gambling addicts, for example? It's not like they go into a gambling shop wanting to be a gambling addict, do they?
no, no,
And
no,
there's so many of them, and they know about this problem, right? So it's not really about self control, it's about setting yourself up not for failure, right? So if you set yourself up with good, happy people, or you have good habits, yeah, and good habits, so like, doing difficult things like saying hello to the neighbor, because most people don't even talk to their neighbors, and they think that's hard. But then when you don't do those little bit hard things, you actually have more big problems by doing that. So why am I talking about neighbors, by the way? Because in most of the religions, Judaism, Islam, different religions, they talk about being friends with your neighbors is a really big deal. Anyway, what do you think about that? Is it like hard to talk to neighbors?
depends. I've got a 50-50. I would say I've got a 50-50 relationship with my neighbours. It all depends if they want to talk to you. If they don't seem in the mood to talk to you, then then the task becomes harder to go and talk to them. Like
Yes.
sometimes I will see my neighbor and he will see me, and he will mostly we will ignore each other, and the barrier one more harder. So how do you break the ice?
That's right. See,
How?
so and this is the thing. I would say in short that the person who tries the most is the one who feels best about themselves. So you might think, oh, trying really hard makes me upset. I look like a failure. Like, for example, I constantly try to make eye contact, not like that, right? But just subtly and try to smile at people. And I keep doing that for the whole year. And that way, that makes me feel more and more confident because your brain works in a way
Yeah,
that if you do good things, you start respecting yourself and you start having more confidence.
absolutely. Yeah, sure. I think that.
So yeah, it's hard stuff though. So that
I mean,
was really a useful discussion. What did you want to say while I'm putting more stuff up?
yeah, it all depends. I mean, to feel good about yourself, once you get the confidence to do it, if you got the confidence to do it, then why not? Go for it. I mean, if you have to go full throttle, then go for it. With them, uh, whether it's your neighbor or someone on the street, where you see when you say like about eye contact, how
Hmm.
how you make the eye contact, and if you've got the confidence to do it, then go for it. Yeah, sure.
Cool. So I'm just going to quickly add to that because you said there's lots of people who don't, lots of friends of mine who don't come on this show, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so grateful that Wahid has, right? Okay, and they say they're shy to be on the screen. I'm shy to be on the screen, but I'm still on the screen, right? So when you do things which are not about you, so this is not about me. This show is not about me. I don't need to do this show, right? I do this show because I know it's useful for people. There are lots of people suffering out there, and I want to help them, right? That's the only reason why I do the show.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you stop feeling the focus on yourself. When you do things for other people, you look like you're incredibly confident. So, if the reason you're so if you want to help yourself, never do it to help yourself. It sounds really weird. This sounds really crazy, right? You do
Right.
it to help other people and then you automatically help yourself. Because if you're doing it for selfish reasons, I'm going to talk to the neighbor, then I will feel less lonely, then you actually feel really shy to do it. But if you talk to the neighbor thinking you're going to get nothing from it, that's how I think. Okay, I'm going to smile at them. They could be rude to me, and this is something we will talk about later on as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to still smile at them, and I'm going to say, "Sorry, what happened?" If they're rude to me, I usually know that person probably has a personal problem, right? Okay, so that's kind of the rough answer. But I want to go to the next bit. But that was a really good. I like the comments you're making. Appreciate that. Okay, the
Oh,
next thing I'm going to talk about is misconceptions. Right at the top there, right? I like a single word to focus on the next 7 odd minutes that we have, right?
all right.
There's a lot of misconceptions about Islam. So I'm talking about Islam mainly, but it can apply to lots of religions as well. There's a lots of misconceptions about religion generally, right? Okay, maybe some of them are true, but with Islam, people say, well, I like to follow Islam, but it's all about oppression. So there's a question: isn't Islam a religion of oppression? That's an important question to
Hmm.
answer if you're trying to find a direction in life, because this is what this half of the show is about. How do you find the direction in life so that you're happy? First stage is find something that is proved to work. Okay, you don't want to just do any random stuff. But the second thing is like, okay, I'm saying Islam, like, you want to make sure that it's not some horrible religion. And so people say, for example, that Islam is about oppressing women. Okay, here's a fun fact: most of the people in the West who become Muslim are women. They love Islam. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, did you know that already somehow, or you heard that somewhere?
I know for a fact. I mean, I've seen statistics and everything.
Yeah,
See, a lot of more and more women in the West are more interested in Islam than the men are, which is strange, which is quite strange. Yeah, but it's a true
yeah,
fact.
yeah. And so I think the reason why people might think it's strange is because, for example, people have to cover up. So women have to cover up. and we're like, oh, that's against freedom, for example. But you
Mm.
have to remember, these women are choosing to cover up. Well, they might even convert and not cover up straight away because it's too much of a big change straight away. But
Yeah.
slowly they choose to, right? And that's because um, they've been used and abused by the public in terms of they have to show themselves off all the time, right? Imagine it's really cold and you have to wear a mini skirt. Like you don't have to do that because you didn't have to experience that, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Like, but that's kind of an abuse. Like women have to spend way more time doing their hair up, right? So I'm a teacher and we have to get into schools, and like I'm not working in a school at the moment, but when we do, you have to get up really early. Like you have to get to school at like 7:30, 8 o'clock latest,
Yeah.
right? Which means you have to leave home or get up at 6 o'clock,
Mm.
right? But if you're a woman, you have to get up even earlier because you have to do your hair up and it takes forever, right?
Sure.
Okay. So if you had to cover your hair, no problem. If you had to wear loose clothes, then you don't have to worry about how you look every 5 seconds, right? And people, especially women in the West, lose all their confidence because because they're wearing skin tight clothes or tight clothes, they feel under pressure to look good all the time. Like if you imagine you were wearing like tight clothes to show off your muscles, right? Me and you, I've got if you don't take this badly, but I've got a feeling we both don't have that much muscles. Do you have muscles?
Not at
No.
all.
Right? So if me and you were wearing like skin tight clothes, we'd probably look really bad, right? But my belly would show out. I don't know what would happen with you, but it would be a really bad look, right?
I would look like a Bollywood woman,
You look like a Bollywood what?
a Bollywood woman or a Bollywood actress. I've lost because the amount of weight I've lost. I'm
Oh, you
oh,
look like a woman. Okay, that's an interesting. I didn't think you would say that, but
I'm not scared to say
you
because
look.
the amount of weight I've lost and
Uh,
how I'm looking is, even well. To put it bluntly, I'm not scared to say this, but during my ex missus once said,
yeah,
"I think
yeah.
you're a woman." Why?
Okay. So,
Because he was twice as big as me, and I was this little toothpick. To
yeah.
screw
So
that,
imagine you had to show off your body all the time. Yeah. We're very humble, Wahid, but you don't have to be too humble, right? Anyway, so the point is, imagine you had to show off. Me and you had to go off in the streets,
yeah,
right, and show off our bodies, like, and we're not like we don't do any exercise or whatever, right? Um, we're not. We're gonna look. We're gonna feel bad about ourselves, aren't we?
we will feel bad. It won't
Right?
feel right. It will feel awful.
Yeah, but if we were just chilling out, enjoying our ice cream, wearing whatever I'm wearing, and you're wearing whatever you're wearing, which doesn't really show off your body, then we won't even think about it. We just enjoy ourselves, right?
Nobody would bat an eyelid. Everything would be just
Yeah, they wouldn't even notice us, right?
it'd be hunky dory and all so good, mate.
Yeah, and then we just enjoy ourselves, and that's how women of the West feel like when they become Muslims. They're like, oh, we're not being stared at all the time, and we don't have to portray ourselves through our bodies. We can do it through our brains and stuff like that. You
That
know?
when they are being stared at is when they are being stared at in the Western world, that is some kind of oppression, and that leads to, yeah, inevitably some really bad things against the women, which is a lot worse than what happens in Islam. So this is what some Western
Hmm.
people don't see, you know.
Yeah. So that's one of the misconceptions. Thanks for that comment, by the way. That's true, right?
Yeah,
Okay. And you know what? I didn't even read the comment. So let me roughly read this, not comment, the quote I put here, right? So a man asked Prophet Muhammad, who should I love the most? You probably know this one, right? Okay. And Prophet Muhammad said, your mother. And then
yeah.
he said, who should I love after that? And he said again, your mother. Then I said, who should I love after that? Okay, who's next? And he said, your mother. And then then another time he said, your mother, right? 4 times. And then he said after that, your father and all the close next relatives, right? Okay. It's like that much love and importance is given to the mother. If so, people shouldn't feel that Islam is against the West. I mean, against women. It's the opposite. It's the freedom for women. That's why so many people, so many women are drawn towards it. They feel so much better. They have so many more rights. Islam was given far more rights to women way before women had them, even more rights than they have now, right? Okay, like property and so many things. They don't have to work. They get free money. They don't have to do anything, right? They do have some responsibilities, right? But they're not forced to work and things like that, right? So and then there's so many things I've listed down there besides uh, mostly women joining Islam. It's like, first of all, people don't know that Islam is the one that protected the Jews from Christians in Europe, in medieval Europe, right? And what else have I got down there? Islam brought science to Europe.
Should did.
There was no science before Islam,
No.
right? Or not in Europe. I mean, Greece had it for a little bit and then they lost it, right? And they had a tiny understanding of like shapes and things, right? But not much. Yeah. So Islam brought technology and everything from China, science from everywhere, and then brought it to Europe. Europe was in the Dark Ages before that. Anyway, literally in the Dark Ages, a thing called the Dark Ages, and they were in it. You know,
Oh,
yeah. So, yep. Okay. So, and the last bit, let's quickly grab it. Nature. So we're still talking about this first half hour before your special questions. Okay, this first half hour is about how do you find your direction in life, and the last bit that I want to talk about is nature. Okay, so people might go, you know what? Leave me alone. Can't I just find my own path to happiness, right? So, like, as if it's different for everybody, right? So, um, I feel like I'll read this one. I just do like reading the Holy Quran because it's really poetical, but you might not get it straight away, right?
okay.
Okay, but it's beautiful to me. So maybe somebody else will get it as well. And follow the nature made by Allah. That's the ancient name for God, the one God. Okay, in different religions, including Judaism, Christianity. So, and follow the nature made by Allah, the nature in which He has created humankind. There is no altering the creation of Allah. That is the right religion. So maybe that might not make much sense, right? Okay, but there is one human nature. Okay, there's a bunch of rules that work for all of us. Even though we've got small differences here and there, there's some basic things that we all need. We need to all be connected. We need to be all happy with each other. There are also sort of economic rules that Islam teaches, okay, that works with human society. Okay, so instead of us trying to figure that out our whole lives, like, how many things can we figure out yourself? It takes forever to figure out one thing. By the time you figure that out, and then you figure out the next rule, your life will be ended and you've learned a few lessons. So why not take the advice that's already there? And even if you figure out a few rules, they're probably going to all be wrong after. Like, by the time you get to 80, it's like, I know these 5 things, and then somebody comes along and say that's wrong. I prove that that's wrong. That's wrong. Like, because we're stupid. We have to realize we overestimate how stupid we are, right? Okay. Psychologists, I'll tell you what I mean by that because I've always been studying psychology, so I appreciate how stupid we are, right? There's this experiment, this is really funny, right? Okay, where they have these mostly actors coming into a class, but there's one person who's not the actor and they don't know what's happening. And they draw 5 lines or something, yeah? And there's one, like my thumb's the short line, right? And then all the actors will go, the shortest line is that one. Obviously, it's not, right?
No.
Okay, the shortest. But all the actors will say that, and then the person who's not the actor will go, "What's going on? I'm really confused." And then they copy that person, and they get so confused they don't even know which line is the shortest or the longest, right? Okay, we're so easily confused in life. Maybe that's a really obviously sort of example, but in life generally, we are so confused that we keep doing things that make us unhappy. Like, we in the West, we keep going after material things and we ignore human beings. We're not good at being social. We don't make eye contact and things like that. So, Like, we know psychologists are telling us all the time, you got to be friendly, you got to make an effort to talk to people, otherwise you're going to be miserable. And we go, nah, that sounds like hard work. And then you become even more miserable. So my point is, we are really dumb. Human beings are really dumb. We need all the help we can get. And God, knowing human nature, has made a religion for us that helps us. That's got all the answers. And you don't have to believe it because I said number one, it's proven, it's tried and tested.
Absolutely true, Carl. You hit the nail on the head. Like when you, like even just saying a simple hello, or to your next door neighbor, or just saying salam to your fellow beings is enough to make them feel happy and happy and content with how they feel, and it just brings a smile to their face. And I know it might not be easy with some people, but if you make the effort, it can actually make one hell of a difference to that sort of person. Even
Yeah.
because
And by the way,
hmm,
I'm interrupted you a little bit. Sorry. Hopefully you remember what you were about to say. But salam, I have to keep translating all the things, means peace, and
that's
that's
what.
the way people say hello to all the Muslims say hello to each other, right? But
Yeah.
that's also how Jesus used to say it as well. He used to say shalom, or he would say shalom aleichem,
Mm.
which sounds like assalamu alaikum, which is salam.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so you were saying like people feel better when they say hello to each other and
Yeah.
smile, and then
There's a difference, but then there's a difference when you don't say hello. You kind of have that bit of regret and that kind of feeling that I wish I had said it, or I wish if I had said it, it would have made me feel good. Then he would have spoken to me. I would have felt good, and he would have made a bit of a good feeling about it. I would have felt much good about it. Kind of cheers you up. Your inner self, your inner soul, your inner body feels refreshed and kind of cheered up with the human world. Because what's happening now is people are too busy on their phones, the internet, the gadgets and stuff, and the online gaming, and it's making people very well to themselves, and
yeah,
and then when they do step out and somebody's walking past, or not a care in the world, no hello. And even this happens to even the next door with your neighbors. Sometimes you even forget what your next door neighbor looks like,
hmm.
and in some cases you forget what some members of your family look like because you're too busy with these lifelong
That
gadgets.
is so true.
Yeah,
Like we're in like big Asian families, right? We're
yeah.
probably all sorts of WhatsApp groups and stuff like that, but we don't take time to call each other up anymore.
But this
Not
thing,
much, you
but
know,
this thing is
or
increasing.
see each other. Yeah,
The Muslim world, this thing is increasing with phones and gadgets. Families
that is.
moaning, complaining that the boys are not contacted with our families when it's dinner time. We're coming down, but they say no. I'm coming, but they don't. And the next thing you know, the parents have gone to sleep. The food's become cold,
Yeah.
and
You are saying so many important points, right?
yeah,
Okay. And in Islam, there's special rules to do with that. So for example, when you're called for food, you have
yeah,
to come really quickly when the food is ready. That's an Islamic rule. And that way, people eat together, they enjoy the food, they respect the person who made the food.
absolutely.
There's
Mm,
so many good things that happen from that, right? And then you have a connection in the family, like exactly like you're saying. Now, the interesting thing is, and this is the thing that um, we're talking about really small, seemingly small things. Okay, but the small things, I'm going to say this lots of times during the whole kind of series that I do. The small things are the big things.
mm,
The small things are absolutely the biggest things, right?
yes,
Okay, and that's why this is like the big one of the biggest mistakes of Western society, right? We're trying to get these big things. I'm going to go to this country and whatever, and they're still same miserable, just as much miserable when they come back
yeah,
because they didn't understand that when you go to places and do these wonderful places, the best thing about them are the people, and the only good thing about the people is when they smile and talk to each other, and they're nothing if they don't have that. Like
no,
if you go to Dubai and you have massive buildings, who cares about massive buildings? Okay, you look up, you you get a neck cake, okay, whatever, right? Um,
yeah,
but the small things are absolutely the big things. And the reason why we don't understand it is because this is how we look at happiness. We look at happiness as up and down, highs and lows. That's actually wrong. The stuff that makes you happy is 3D deepness. It's like if you do something, like it doesn't actually get you high as like drugs do, but if you do something meaningful, and this is again what psychologists say. So Viktor Frankl, people tell me, oh, you're just saying stuff, right? This is all based on what psychologists say. This is all data based, right? Viktor Frankl says, I'll finish it off like this: the thing that makes you happy, he's a top psychologist, one of the greatest psychologists of our time. He said, meaning. Do things that have some sort of meaning. So I'm going to copy paste something. Where are the Wahid's first question? Really good questions. Here we go.
The Wahid specials.
Wahid specials. That's right.
I don't know who used to say that, but someone used to in the mosque used to say the Wahid
We
special.
used to say all sorts of weird things.
I
I
know.
think he was very skillful. Wahid was really skillful at the
Even
game with billiards, pool.
I'll bring
So maybe
billiard.
he was doing the specials. Yeah.
I've been trying to get hold of a pool table, but they cost like £3,000 for a pool table. What the heck? I'm trying to get.
You're just getting too upper class, you know. Why do you have to get some fancy stuff like that? Get a small 6 foot table. Anyway, all right. So, um, what? Why are there difficult people? And I think that is a really important question because until we kind of appreciate the world we live in and how it is, like when we understand that we understand the workings of the world, then we feel more comfortable with it. If it's just a bunch of crazy stuff happening, why is this terrible thing happening, where did this terrible person come from, right?
I know.
Okay, then you feel bad. But if you know it's strangely for your good, then you be like, I mean, that sounds really weird, right? But for your good, right? and and you know how to handle it because you understand it, then it makes it much easier, right? It doesn't make it too easy because there's always like there's always something to learn, and then you become better and better, right? But so I'm gonna quickly roughly quote this thing over here. So why are there difficult people? The rough answer is
Yeah.
God has created you with certain challenges. Okay, there's different levels of challenges. Some are just in your mind. Fear is one of the biggest things. So it's listed here, but I'm not properly reading it. Yeah. Okay, so fear is one of the biggest difficulties we have. Like even if it's not real, we're scared of it. It's psychological problems, right? That's one of the biggest things stopping us from doing anything. It's not even a real problem, but it's in our minds and we're fearful and we stop from 100 things, right? Okay. And then there's like you're scared of losing money or whatever, right? That's another level of fear, right? It's real. You're going to lose money. Then there's kind of your life that's getting serious, right? Okay. But you're probably, are you currently being threatened by anybody with your life?
Life, no, life wise,
No, so we're not that level yet. So
not
we can stick with the first two then, right?
generally. Yeah, I know.
But there's kind of even the next level, but don't worry about it. Like, you might say, how can there be anything more scary than life? Life being threatened. Well,
No,
people who I'm not going to go into it too much, but like some people are happy, like they're ready to die, like if they're that level, right? Okay, for a cause. But if their cause gets totally messed up, that would be really messed up. You die for a cause, and then the cause doesn't work out. That's a bit of a shame, right? So anyway, so that's kind of just a rough idea. Now, so the point is that lots of bad things happen in life, and the things that we complain about are not really things but people. Like for example, imagine there's a wall in front of you. You can't go, ah, you annoying wall, why are you there? I want to walk and you're in my way. You don't do that, do you?
no,
It's the difficulties come through people mainly, right? Okay. And
that wall. How do you overcome
the
the
metaphorical wall.
yeah, the verbal? Sometimes you get a wall which is being abusive, and how do you overcome?
Abusive wall. Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. You're getting really metaphorical with me, right? Okay. Right. Okay. So let's make this really specific to what you're saying, right? So
Yeah,
there's an abusive person, and people are abusive in all sorts of subtle ways, right? Like they'll ask, maybe just ask for you for stuff all the time, right? And then there's outright just swearing at you all the time.
Mm.
Okay. Now let's think about um what is the problem with that? It sounds really weird, but I'm not going to say you should just ignore the words because that's a bit rude as well, right? It's like somebody swearing at you, quite annoying, right? Okay. But what if we was being really specific, what do you feel, what is the pain that you get from that?
Well,
Somebody saying bad words to you.
the pain is, that they don't. You feel let down. You feel hurt, let down, and you wonder, well, what fault was it of mine, and why
Right.
that?
Okay, cool. So you, because I'm trying to break it down to one of these 4 points, basically, right? So when you feel let down, right, maybe you fear that they're not going to help you anymore,
Yeah,
or you're going to lose something. You might lose something real, like money, right?
you could.
Or help or food. For example, imagine there's somebody who makes your food and then, oh, I don't like you anymore, I'm going to stop cooking your food, right?
Could happen.
Okay. So these are, so it can get from psychological, where nothing's really going to happen, but you fear something might happen, to something really happening. Okay.
Mm,
Now, this is where I come to my point, which is as soon as you realize that nobody can do anything to you really without God's permission. I mean, this might sound like a rubbish answer in the beginning, right? But this is something you work towards.
mm,
Okay. As soon as you realize nobody could do anything to you that can really harm you without God's permission, then that's when you become free. That's a bit, but it's maybe it sounds theoretical, right?
mm.
Right? Okay. So let's think about it a little bit. Like all the jobs that are created in the world, okay, they couldn't exist if there wasn't, like, I think you're in a DIY shop or something,
Yes, yeah,
right? So lots of stuff made out of metal,
yeah. Wood,
right?
metal, everything.
Wood, metal, right? Okay. Imagine there was no water to make the trees that made the wood, right? There was no iron ore that made the iron or the different kind of metal. I don't know about metal, right? Okay. All right. Okay. It's because the world has stuff that all the jobs are possible. So I'm just trying to give a high level idea. I know it might not be convincing yet, but it's good to appreciate a little bit, right? Okay. That without God, who created all the stuff, there is nothing. There's
Mm,
no jobs, no money, no nothing, no food, no nothing. Okay. So it's good to have that a little bit in your mind, and that can help you a little bit, right?
yes.
Um, but then I'm trying to think, like, trying to be really specific in your situation. So I do feel that you can slowly to work towards a situation when you become fearless or depend, not fearless, that's not the right word, because fear, you can become fearless when you don't feel you depend on anything.
Mm,
Right? Now, how do you get to that stage? You get to that stage slowly, because this is really important. People feel like you got to achieve this, but it's so hard to achieve. How are you going to possibly do it? And you do it in really small steps. So I believe in a real God, right? A God that's live and it helps, right? But it helps, like, the more, if you take one step towards God, you might have heard this one, right? But
yeah,
you might need to see it, right? Or to see it in practice. If you take one step towards God, God takes 10 steps towards you. Now, God is not in a physical place for people who don't, haven't heard of Islam, right? For God, God is everywhere, basically. It's a metaphor that if you do one good thing or listen to me, okay, first of all, listening to God is for your own benefit anyway. Okay. But if you listen to God a little bit, you'll find you become more and more free. Okay. I want to get really specific without mentioning the person's name, because I want to, in a few seconds, I want to give more accurate advice. What is it that like an example is like literally somebody shouting at you, somebody rude? Like give me an example.
Well, for example, like when you want something done and you're not getting it done, when people aren't responding to you, and that
Hmm.
when they're being difficult, how do you how do you be kind without being rude to that person who's going to be difficult without that difficult person making your life even more miserable? So how do you?
Right. Okay, cool. So there's a couple of things there, right? I bet there's more than one person that could do it, right? But the reason why we don't jump to the next person is because we're frustrated that that person is not doing it. We want control over them deep down.
We want control over them, but then they've got control over us. But then how do you get control over that person?
Okay. So this is I'm gonna give this. They have control over you when we want control over them. It
Yeah,
really sounds backward. Like if you don't feel like you say, listen, mate, you can do anything you want. If you don't do it, it's up to you. I will like if I don't get my food, I'll go to KFC, I'll go somewhere else. It won't be as good, but I'll be freed of the stress.
but the thing is that good for you in the long run, health wise? It's
Ah,
not going to be good for you. Then what do you do? How do you
right.
difficult person that what you're doing and why you have changed your views? Why are you doing what you're doing now when you said you were going to do it before? But why have you changed your views? You know,
Cool. So now we're going
why do
into how to handle people, isn't it?
why do people change and become difficult? I mean, that's another one. Why do people change? It's just oh, sometimes
Yeah.
that's how it is.
No, it's good. Okay, so we're continuing. It's kind of like one topic. It's like why they're bad people. We kind of understand the reason. My short answer. I'm not even sure if I answered it. Is because the world is a place where people have got the choice to do bad, good and bad, and this is really important. They have the choice to be good and bad. You're probably bad to somebody else, and you don't realize it. Like you're not as helpful to somebody else as they might want you to be, and they'll be frustrated with you, right? Okay. And so what we're trying to achieve is a place where people are better and better and nicer to each other, right?
Yeah,
Okay. And but we want to demonstrate that. We want to be the people who are first because most people won't want to be good until they see you and loads of other people be good first. That's just the nature of it. There's a rule in the Quran that says most of the people, the majority, will basically do bad things. It's just how it is because you got the freedom to do bad things, and most people take the easy, short-term way of doing bad things, but then they make their own lives miserable. Okay, so you don't really want to go down that path. You want to keep doing good things even when other people are not doing good things. You want to be better to people than they are to you because you're the one who will grow and develop into a better person. Okay, and the people who are selfish, they get stuck in a really horrible little world and make themselves miserable. Yeah, you'll probably notice that if you look around the world and you think about that. Like people who are nasty, they make their own worlds horrible. Okay, so, so how do we handle difficult people? Um, I'm going to read this because I like it, and then I'll try to explain it. Right, and the
okay.
servants of the gracious God, okay, are those who walk on the earth modestly or humbly, and when the ignorant address them, they say peace. Okay. What's basically the picture created there is that if you are a servant of the gracious God, that means a God who is really kind, who gives rain to people who you don't even ask for rain from God. They don't speak to God. They can be atheists, whatever, right? And it gives them rain, food, lots and lots of stuff, right? And then people who ask get more stuff, right? But that's another thing, right? Okay. If you're a servant of such a God, you also have to be that kind of person who's just like kind to people, even if they're not kind back. The piece, yeah. So you're like a whole. You have to. If you get to, I'm trying not to say things like as if it's just theoretical stuff. This is what I do. Okay. This is why I would say I'm much happier than the average person because I expect nothing from anybody. Like nothing from anybody. Like they can do it, and normally they would. So I'll say, "Can you do this?" I'll only ask them if they're always going to do it, right? Or they're going to do it anyway. Try this because I really want this to. I like kind of talking to one person because it feels more practical, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying to you, this is what exactly what I would do, and I recommend you to try to get into this mindset. Don't expect anything from anybody, and slowly become independent of those bad people, because the more dependent you are on people who are horrible, the more horrible your life is going to be. If imagine you're asking people to do stuff and they never ever want to do it, that's going to be a constant nightmare your whole life. You
It
do
will be.
not go on.
It will be. It will be a constant nightmare. I mean, how are you going to live?
So tell me one thing you're dependent on somebody else. Just tell me. Let's talk about it practically. Go
Mm,
on.
sometimes see like some only food wise. Like if you don't know, that's probably my only weakness. Is I might get a bit dependent on others
You
uh,
can't cook.
I can't cook since my mum died.
Yeah.
I feel this sort of guilty conscience when I have to ask someone. The
Yeah.
food has run out. I mean, what do I do now? I mean, that kind of. How do you start a sentence saying to this individual, "The food has run out"?
Yeah.
You make Would it be kind of to make me more? I mean, are you
All
not?
right. So let me because I want to get this like I want to be really helpful, right? Okay.
Yeah,
You want to get to a stage where you can obviously you want to make your own food, right? If you have to make your own food, you have to make your own food,
yeah.
right? Okay,
I mean,
you don't want to eat KFC because you're going to get really sick,
I can
right?
food, but it's not very healthy. So
Yeah.
I rely on noodles, which cannot be healthy either.
Yeah. So we're not really talking about when we're talking about cooking, we're not talking about pot noodles, yeah? It's not stick it in the microwave, put some water in or whatever it is. I'm not talking about that kind of cooking. I'm talking about next level up, right?
The
Okay.
next level up, I just it's like so basically cooking is more like when you're climbing a ladder or something and you can't get into the loft, or you're climbing, like some people cannot stand heights and they cannot climb, and
Yeah.
need
So I know what you're talking about. I know what your metaphors are going, right? Okay. This is this is the thing, right? When you solve this problem of cooking, like I can't cook, but I did learn to cook one time when my wife was away on holiday or something, right? Okay, a little bit, right? A little bit. Okay, fried egg, that kind of stuff. I'm
yeah,
just joking. But anyway, all right. So, when you learn, okay, so this is a big challenge learning to cook. You have to get from not knowing anything to being able to cook, I don't know, something not too complicated, right?
yeah,
Okay. Now, if you learn this very important thing, two things, every day take a step in the right direction, even if it's really small. In fact, make it really small. So make sure you don't solve the problem in a short time. That sounds crazy, right? But that is the absolute skill of solving really big problems, because the reason why people can't solve big problems, okay, is because they don't have patience. In Islam and religion generally, patience is the one of the biggest qualities you can have,
yeah,
right? And nothing gets solved easily. But if you want everything to be solved easily, nothing gets solved. And then you're always dependent,
yeah. I know.
right?
That's
So
cool,
now
yeah,
how can you be patient? It's an amazing thing about the Quran, right? The word for patience, okay, means actually also has the meaning of staying really calm. So you never try to get too excited, or then when you don't get too excited, you don't get too sad. See, it's your feelings that are causing you to give up. Okay, so you're going to try to avoid too much sugar as well,
yeah,
right?
Mm.
Okay, but you say, "Oh, I need the sugar because I'm bored or something," right? Then try to do more practical good things, and you'll feel better about it. I mean, this is a short answer, right? Um, but yeah, another thing is don't think about the whole problem. This again from a saying of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, says, if you got a massive problem to solve, I'm paraphrasing, okay, don't think about the whole problem. Just think about the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. Like once you solve the next problem, then you know that, right?
Mm.
Okay. That then you don't feel overwhelmed. I think that's the real problem.
That is probably, yeah.
But thank you. I mean,
I mean,
this
yeah.
is not going to solve the problem in 10 minutes, but I appreciate you. That's so awesome of you to put your problem on the show and discussing it so openly. That's just the best.
I
Really
mean,
appreciate that. Go on.
when you
What are
say
you going to say?
by step, I mean, people need to realize that certain problems will be solved step by step, and they won't be solved just like that. Like some people don't know how to cook. As I said, cooking is a step by step process. If you don't know how to do it, like
Hmm.
a new thing which you're learning, so it's a step by step process which
And I think you'll really enjoy it. I think you will feel really good about learning a new skill. Human beings love to grow, not like get fat, but
mm,
grow as in skill wise.
yes,
And
yes,
you would love the food more because you made it, and you don't have to be full up all the time. Like that's actually really bad if you're stuffing your face all the time. It's actually
yeah,
bad for you. You probably
I,
know that.
I,
You know that, all right? We talked off the phone. We talked about
I,
that. All right, okay. Anyway, so big problems from personal problems to massive ones.
right.
Okay, so have you heard about this Ukraine war? Yeah, Russia, all this kind of stuff, right? Yeah, you've heard about it. That's good.
But yeah,
You noticed, yeah. All
yeah.
right.
Try not to watch the news too much. It's very depressing. I try not to watch it. It's very distressing, and I just switch off. There's already too many things going on, depressing and horrible things going on. Again, being very difficult. Not just difficult people, but difficult nations.
Yeah,
Difficult.
yeah.
Why are nations difficult to one another? Again, another example of
Oh, so that's what we're going to talk about here at
why
a national level. Go on.
why is the human race difficult to one another?
That is such a you have posed a sort of answer to this question, which I'm going to talk about, right? So does capitalism lead to imperialism? So you might say, I'm not sure if you can see any connection between them. Probably not, right? Okay. So capitalism, in case people don't know, right, it's about the idea that instead of the government controlling where money goes, like let people figure it out. You buy stuff, like so in a communist society, the communist society say the price of everything is this. You know, nobody has nobody has control. Government controls everything, right? Okay. But capitalism is everybody controls it. They set their own prices and all this kind of stuff, right? Okay. Does it lead to imperialism, which means this idea of countries trying to control other countries? Like, is there a connection between capitalism and imperialism? And the reason why we're asking this question, there's a couple of reasons, but there's this guy called Lenin who basically started communism in a way,
No,
right? Have you ever heard that guy? I don't know, bald guy. No, all
no,
right. Anyway, whatever, right? He wrote a book and he said it, capitalism leads to imperialism, like people. And it's kind of, if you think about it, the people who are doing the most of the bossing around are like America, for example, like Russia, like trying to take over one piddly country called Ukraine, right?
yeah,
But America's been doing it all the time for the last 50 how many years, all the time, right? It's
is
like they've been going to Libya, Iraq. They just go everywhere. They don't even stop, right? Every neighbor they have, they'll go and attack it, right?
yeah,
Okay, and they are the capitalist country, so there seems to be some truth in it. And so I'm going to explain again from the Quran, okay, what the idea is, the craziness that captures people's mind, right? Now, have you you know you can borrow money, right?
yeah,
It's like if you don't have all the goodies you want, I want the next iPhone, but I used all my money on the last iPhone, right? Okay, and the iPhones are really expensive now. I don't know. Some iPhones are like over £1,000 or something crazy like that, right? I've
Yeah.
got no idea because I never buy these kind of phones. But is that true? Is it something like that?
Well, there's like a contract. You have to like sometimes there's like a contract which you have to fulfill, like 24
Yeah.
contract, and then when that runs out, then you sort of get tempted by new offers, maybe more expensive offers,
There's always temptations, right?
and
Plenty.
pay more, get into more trouble, more debt trouble. Or if you don't have the money, you still buy it and getting yourself into even more trouble.
Right. And the way you can get more stuff even if you don't have the money is borrow money, right? I'm
Borrowing
not
money.
reckon right? And borrow money on interest, which means you have to pay more money back than you borrowed. Okay. So
That
this is what I'm
more
talking about.
that leads to
Go.
more problems, doesn't it?
More problems. Yeah, massive problems, right? So interest is the beginning of the end, basically,
Yeah.
right? So this is what happens. So on a small scale, you as an individual borrowing money, right? And then you have to make more money to pay the bigger bills, bigger bills. Because when you borrow money on interest, you have to pay more back than you took,
Yeah.
right? Now, if loads of people are doing that, it's like the whole country is doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have to keep borrowing money to get stuff. They have to make more money um, than they had because they're also borrowing as a country. And this is a fact, right? There's something called the GDP. It's like gross domestic product. It's just like how much the country makes, how much money they make, right? And this is a truth, right? In Western materialistic countries or interest based countries, sorry, ones use interest, okay, they have to make more money each year because they have to pay more bills, right? And if they don't make more money than before, the whole economy collapses. They have to make more every year. It's crazy, like a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
Now you can't do that because there's only one world, right? Okay, and money basically comes from getting something from the world, like making metal, making nice, DIY tools, whatever, right? Okay, but you can't keep digging forever,
No. No.
right? It's a limited world, right? So this system where you borrow money and then you have to make more and you have to make more just to pay back the bills
Mm.
is not possible. So, and it also makes people really greedy for stuff they don't have. They get in the habit of getting stuff they can't afford.
Fine.
So there's kind of a double problem with interest, right? Okay. And so people become so crazy. So in this thing, it says people who devour interest, devour means like eat it like greedy people. Yeah. Okay. Do not rise except rises one who Satan has smitten with insanity. It means like if you rise, if you become powerful, you become powerful like Satan does. That's the only time. So if your country is based on interest, okay, you'll become a satanic country because you want stuff. You want more stuff. Do you
Mm.
get the idea?
Yeah. Yeah.
When it says smitten with insanity, it means you've gone out of your mind. So these people are crazy that these countries at the moment are threatening nuclear warfare.
They are.
Like that's insane. Nobody wins,
No.
right?
No.
That's that's insanity, right? And it's satanic. It's not good. It's not like I'm a good person. I'm gonna press that red button that destroys the whole world.
I
That's
know.
Satan, right? So you lose your sense of good and bad with interest,
Mm.
is what I'm trying. By the way, I keep forgetting. Do chat in the live chat. We can talk with you as well. It's not just me and you, me and Wahid. You know, but if you want to talk to us, there's a live chat there. I think it's where my finger is. All
Yep.
right,
Yep.
do it, do
Oh,
it. Type some stuff.
you can get on that button now and press it and give us a few likes.
Yeah. Oh, press the likes. Yeah, appreciate that. That's good.
Don't press the button,
Yeah.
the likes, because we're here to like and not press any buttons.
Okay. Yeah, press the like button and the share button,
Not the,
all the buttons.
except the red button.
Is there a red button? I don't know.
When
What
you
the
were
pause?
don't press the red button for the nuclear war.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, don't press the red button. Okay, that's the one. Don't press that one. All right, okay. So that's the thing. Interest is a way of increasing something called materialism, where we're so focused on stuff. And materialism in Islam is described as a mirage. Have you ever seen a mirage in real life?
I haven't seen one in real life, but I've heard of plenty, and I know what
Right. So do you know it's kind of a watery effect, yeah?
to do to the mind. It has an effect on the mind and what it can do. It can do all sorts. It can affect the mind, and you think there's a watery thing, and then you dive in there, and it turns out to be a bunch of sand. You know,
Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's in the same way materialism in its oh my gosh, the time's run out. I told you it's gonna be quick, but I'm gonna say in a quick thing.
right?
So materialism is like a mirage. Like
Yeah,
you think there's some nice water there and it's gonna, make quench your thirst. But when you finally reach that mirage, you feel like there's nothing there. And that's
mm,
how materialism is. You think, oh, I'll get an iPhone, I'll be happy. You get the iPhone, you're not happy. Then you
you're
get
not,
another iPhone, another whatever, you know?
and you're still very miserable.
Right.
Why? So
Because
basically,
it doesn't make you happy.
because addictions, because the life, because another reason could be because this life is only like like it's temporary life, and temporary life means temporary happiness. Like vice versa, you're sad, temporary sadness, temporary happiness. In this world, nothing lasts forever.
Well, maybe you realize deep down that if you chase things that are temporary, they're not really going to make you happy.
No,
But we'll do that for another conversation because this thing has gone red.
no,
That thing is telling me the time is up and it's time for me to firstly thank you, Wahid.
not
Really
a problem.
appreciate.
Not a problem, Sophie. It's really been good being with you. Yes. To everyone out there as well.
All right. Please do join us next week. Please do press that like button. Not
Yeah.
because I personally need your likes, it's because I think this show has value and I talk about things that people don't know about because they've forgotten about what happiness is, right? And there's a lot of junk information out there, and I'd rather this video go out and more people watch this video. And do, if you didn't comment here, comment down there, ask me questions, and I'll put it on the next show, for example. Anyway, join me next week. Thank you, Wahid.
Not a problem, guys.
Thank you, all the watchers out there.
Thank
Thank
you
you all. Go on. You say your thing. Go on.
guys for tuning in, for seeing the Wahid Khalid show. This is the most amazing show, the best partnership you could ever wish to see. We go more than 30 years back. This is the special Wahid Khalid partnership.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a good excuse to, talk like this, and I really appreciate your friendship and
Yeah,
helping me out in this way
yeah.
and being so open on the show. Like very few people that brave to do that, so really appreciate it. So
So,
I'm gonna end the live stream so we can talk a bit more privately all by
yes.
ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can tell me